Well, again, 1/400 scale collectors. So an interesting one I didn't really know much about. So in the 1980s, General Electric and Boeing worked together to work on this idea. Here's a concept drawing of a plane using an unducted a UDF engine, which is some sort of unducted fan. That's what UDF, I suppose, means. And the general idea from Wikipedia that I'm getting to understand is there's a turbine, a regular jet engine, and the exhaust gases from that are helping to drive the fan propellers. And these are two sets, and they rotate counter to each other, creating a higher velocity. So basically, a small engine with a small diameter propellers, but very fuel efficient because you're using the exhaust after this thing is creating thrust to drive propellers, creating more thrust. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you really know a lot about this stuff. So this was done in the 80s, but they never pursued it. It never went anywhere, although it did prove to be very fuel efficient. So maybe in the future, here you'll see a normal jet engine, right? And then they just slapped it on the side of this 727. And so that test airplane with the test engine is done here. And it's weird. I think this is by JC Wings, but there's no indication of the brand itself. So there's two registration numbers, I guess, two different airplanes they made to test these out. And here we have some statistics of the actual airplane. 40 meters, 32 meters, 3 engines, but one of them is that UDF unducted fan by GE. The other two are Pratt & Whitney's. And it's weird that, well, yeah, I guess this is unlicensed. That's why there's no brand on. No, wait, my bad. There it is. Look, it is under license. So if you're gonna pay for licensing, wouldn't you want to promote the company making this? Right? Why wouldn't? It's really strange. Really strange. All right, so you have this clamshell with some protective film to get that model safe to you instead of the plastic bubble scratching the paint. All right, so does it look like that image? He looks pretty good to me. All right. I think because it's 400 times smaller than usual, the propellers are, thicker than they would be on the real plane, but yeah, there you go. It's hard to focus between two objects at two different distances, of course. Anyways, I'm pretty sure this is the only casting of this airplane, so not much choice. We'll just have to see how good it turns out to be. I'm going to start at the bottom as usual. There's a peg hole stand there. And boy, my camera's going crazy because there's some shininess for sure. This looks like chrome almost. It's polished aluminum or something here. Whereas the underside here is like an off light gray color. Panel gaps are looking pretty good. Back to here, some sort of gunmetal colored thing, but there's a bump in there. I'm not sure why. And then this really shiny part, there's some sort of black printed, maybe that's the escape ladder. I think about that guy that hijacked a plane and parachuted out the back stairwell. Maybe that's this type of plane. I don't know for sure. Okay, some sort of brake for the wings there. It's a separate piece. More shiny stuff here. Some printed on red and gray hatches. Some inserted antennae there. It's nice. Rolling wheels, oddly. And then sadly, I think it has rubbery tires, which might crack off, which I don't like that. I wish they were rubber, plastic tires. This dark metallic is nicely painted. Maybe some headlights in the wings there. Big aqueduct here. Some dots. Okay, some printed on closed hatches for the landing gear. And then it's still got some vertically. There again, rolls okay. And then the bottom of the engine, you'll notice it's actually kind of canted inwards. I don't know if that's an error of the model or if that's the way it was on the real airplane. I would guess it probably was that way on the airplane. These 1/400 things tend to be done pretty well. They're not like half-ass jobs like 1/64 scale cars. Okay, so yeah, Nice printing here, nice and crisp. Tiny little dots or streaks there. More printing on the side of this regular jet engine. And look at these three stripes, how they continue from this curved fuselage onto this wing, and still getting around whatever that bump is. The top of these, the flat ailerons, I think they might be called. A little imperfection, unfortunately. And oh, those stripes are actually wrapping over. That's pretty impressive. It's not a decal. This is actually paint, some sort of paint process. So very impressive how they paint these things. Some silver on the leading edge of this. Some silver also the leading edges of the three engines. You notice the intake of this is roundish, and this is ovalish, and this has going in a deep amount. Okay, antenna on the top as well. So be careful holding these things. You might bend the antenna. So the registration number is nice and crisp. The windows here, I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, they're black with some silver around them. So thin. So thin, the paint printing. Look at this. This is a toothpick, and the whole window is the width of a toothpick. Okay. It's a red window. Not sure why. And that thing is, I think you can read that, experimental. Very cool. I don't know what this is. It looks like a logo, maybe. Going to the nose. Yeah, windows in gray with a silver surround. Some wiper blades there. Some gray around the nose cone, and it's tipped in black paint. Alright, let's get around to the other side. Work our way back to that cool engine. Alright, this all looks fine. The striping looks good. The door here looks good. There's some more wing root headlight details there. The leading edge is quite a big silver flake. Oh, the escape route there on the wing. Hatches, registration now. So we have the GE logo, UDF, NASA as well apparently was involved. These, oh, I see. That's interesting. That's why they're so thick, because they actually made them spin. Alright, and we have some gunmetal printed on this black cone. And the inside of this thing, this fan blades, this one's just flat because I think there's a jet engine or whatever is down here somewhere. So that's just representing air. But what about the front of this engine? I need a flashlight. No, sorry, I know I lost focus. I don't have it. I'm not an octopus. I don't have too many hands. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't call that a... They don't look like turbines in there. But this one clearly looks like turbines. So that's an interesting thing that they were able to get those to spin. I would have been perfectly happy if they didn't. But, alright. And is there a recess here? I think there's a recess right there. The landing gear covers there, they're actually angled out there as they're opened. Very neat, very cool. I guess that's it. Alright, so here we have a Honeywell connected aircraft thing where they're testing some other type of engine by Honeywell. This is a Boeing 727-200. Unfortunately, there's no branding on this, so I don't know who made it. That's the case with a lot of these 1/400 scale airplanes. Here's another unbranded one. It's the Virgin Galactic rocket test 747. There's some sort of launch one rocket on here. Obviously a 747 is a huge airplane. So 3 Boeing aircraft testing 3 different things. And you wouldn't know who made any of these models if you just picked them up. So it's unfortunate. You can just look up 1/400's, connected aircraft or Virgin Orbit, and eventually you'll find it. All right, moving on. So, seems to be another fine 1/400 scale diecast airplane. I almost wish they made them out of plastic because I think they would have been better detailed. But maybe they can't get fine printing on plastic. Maybe that's why they choose to make them out of metal, so the paint will maybe can be smoother on a hard surface, and maybe then they can tampo print these fine graphics on them. That's the only thing I can really think of. But in general, yeah, I don't like metal models because they're heavy and usually less detailed. But this is pretty nice. And interesting that that engine never went anywhere. It makes sense to me using the exhaust gases to propel something else. I will see you guys in the next review whenever a new casting comes out. Bye.